Chemical reactions and enzymes. Living things are made up of chemical compounds, but chemistry isn't just what life is made of. Chemistry is also what life does. Everything that happens in an organism, its growth, its interaction with the environment, its reproduction, and even its movement is based on chemical reactions. What happens to chemical bonds during chemical reactions? Chemical reactions involve changes in the chemical bonds that join atoms in compounds. Here we see iron chain turning to iron oxide. A chemical reaction is a process that changes or transforms one set of chemicals into another by changing the chemical bonds that join atoms in compounds. Mass and energy are conserved during chemical transformation, including chemical reactions that occur in living organisms. The elements or compounds that enter into a chemical reaction are known as reactants. The elements or compounds produced by a chemical reaction are known as products. An important chemical reaction in your bloodstream enables carbon dioxide to be removed from the body. As it enters the blood, carbon dioxide reacts with water to produce carbonic acid, which is highly soluble. This chemical reaction enables the blood to carry carbon dioxide to the lungs. In the lungs, the reaction is reversed and produces carbon dioxide gas, which you then exhale. So carbon dioxide goes in, combines with water, creates carbonic acid, and then when it arrives to the lungs, it splits back off. Carbon dioxide goes to the lungs, and the water stays in the bloodstream. How do energy changes affect whether a chemical reaction will occur? Chemical reactions that release energy often occur on their own or spontaneously, like this burning of sulfur. Chemical reactions that absorb energy will not occur without a source of energy. Energy is released or absorbed whenever chemical bonds are formed or broken during chemical reactions. Energy changes are one of the most important factors in determining whether a chemical reaction will occur. Chemical reactions that release energy often occur on their own or spontaneously. Chemical reactions that absorb energy will not occur without a source of energy. An example of energy releasing reaction is the burning of hydrogen gas rising in the bubble, in which hydrogen gas with oxygen is produced. It produces water vapor, combining by burning the hydrogen gas and the oxygen gas. The energy is released in the form of heat and sometimes, when hydrogen gas explodes, light and sound. Two hydrogen gas molecules plus oxygen gas molecule creates water. The reverse action, in which water is changed into hydrogen and oxygen, absorbs so much energy that it generally doesn't occur by itself. Two water molecules plus energy splits into two hydrogen gas molecules and one oxygen gas molecule. The only way to practically reverse the reaction of joining to make water is to pass electrical current through water to decompose water into hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. Thus, in one direction, the reaction produces energy, and in the other direction, the reaction requires energy. Every organism must have a source of energy to carry out the chemical reactions it needs to stay alive. Plants get their energy by trapping and storing energy from sunlight in energy rich compounds. Animals get their energy when they consume plants or other animals. Humans release the energy needed to grow, breathe, think, and even dream through the chemical reactions that occur when we metabolize or break down the food we eat. When we eat well, we think well. Chemical reactions that release energy do not always occur spontaneously. The energy that is needed to get a reaction started is called activation energy, in this case, the flame. Under normal conditions, hydrogen and oxygen molecules collide without reacting. Now add some heat and notice how the molecules increase in speed and collide with more force. Atoms are separated from each other and recombine to form the more stable water molecule. The peak of each graph represents the energy needed for the reaction to go forward. The difference between the required energy and the energy of the reactants is the activation energy right here. Activation energy is involved in chemical reactions whether or not the overall reaction releases or absorbs energy. So the reactants start here, and the activation energy pushes them up, combines, and the products have higher energy state. And that's absorbing reaction. Here, the reactants combine with the activation energy and then drop to a lower state. And that's releasing reaction. What role do enzymes play in living things and what affects their function? Enzymes speed up chemical reactions and take place in cells. Temperature, pH, and regulatory molecules can affect the activation of enzymes. Enzymes can go both directions also. They can either combine a substrate 1, substrate 2, they can come and they can help combine them so they join together. Substrate react to form an end product together in one piece. So here's the product. Or enzymes can take the same product and split it into two, and we'll see that. Some chemical reactions are too slow or have activation energies that are too high to make them practical for living tissue. These chemical reactions are made possible by catalysts. A catalyst is a substance that speeds up the rate of a chemical reaction. Catalysts work by lowering a reaction's activation energy. Enzymes are proteins that act as biological catalysts. They speed up chemical reactions that take place in cells. Enzymes act by lowering the activation energy, which has a dramatic effect on how quickly reactions are completed. The reactions have some energy level here. They combine normally at this higher activation level, and then the products are at a lower level. But with an enzyme assisting the reaction, the activation energy is lower, producing the same product. For example, the reaction in which carbon dioxide combines with water to produce carbonic acid is so slow that carbon dioxide might build up in the body faster than the bloodstream could remove it. Your bloodstream contains a family of zinc containing enzymes that speed up the reaction by a factor of 10 million so that the reaction takes place immediately and carbon dioxide is removed from the bloodstream quickly. Carbon dioxide combines with the water to create the carbonic acid, and it is assisted and sped up in both directions by a family of zinc containing enzymes called carbonic anhydrases. Water, carbon dioxide creates carbonic acid. Enzymes are very specific, generally catalyzing only one chemical reaction. Part of the name of the enzyme, carbonic anhydrases, is derived from the reaction it catalyzes. Here's the bloodstream going through, combining carbonic acid, releases back into the lungs and the alveoli to release that carbon dioxide. For a chemical reaction to take place, the reactants must collide with enough energy so that the existing bonds will be broken and new bonds will be formed. If the reactants do not have enough energy, they will be unchanged after the collision. So in this case, the substrate hits the enzyme at the activation site and splits apart and making a product of two. Enzymes provide a site where reactants can be brought together to react. Such a site reduces the energy needed for reaction. The reactants of enzyme catalyzed reactions are known as substrates. For example, the enzyme carbonic anhydrase converts the substrates carbon dioxide and water into carbonic acid. So this carbonic anhydrase right here grabs a carbon dioxide and a water. The substrate combines the two and releases carbonic acid. And then it's free, and this activation site is free once it releases to repeat the process. It happens quickly in the bloodstream when carbon dioxide is produced. Then this carbonic acid is sent to the lungs to release with another enzyme to be broken apart and then released and exhaled. The substrates bind to a site on the enzyme called the active site. The active site and the substrates have complementary shapes. The fit is so precise that the active site and substrates are often compared to lock and key. Substrate fits perfectly in the activation site on the enzyme. Temperature, pH, and regulatory molecules all are factors that can affect the activity of enzymes. Enzymes produced by human cells generally work best at temperatures close to 37 degrees C, or normal body temperature. Enzymes work best at certain pH values. For example, the stomach enzyme pepsin, which begins protein digestion, works best under acidic conditions. Activities of most enzymes are regulated by molecules that carry chemicals within cells, switching enzymes on or off as needed.